I'm 80 years old now, and my father has been dead for 11 years. I still think about him every day, not because I miss him the way you're supposed to miss a parent. I think about him because I spent half a century trying to become someone he could be proud of, and I never got there. And now there's no time left to stop trying. That's the part that's hard to explain to people. You'd think when someone dies, the need for their approval dies with them. It doesn't. It just sits there, frozen, like a question you'll never get to ask. My father wasn't a bad man. I want to be clear about that. He didn't hit me. He didn't abandon us. He worked hard, came home every night, paid for everything we needed. He was there. But he was the kind of man who showed love through standards, through expectation. He believed that if you push someone hard enough, they'd become their best self. I was his only son. That mattered to him in a way I didn't understand until I was much older. He had 2 daughters, but I was the one who carried his name, the one he talked about when people asked how his kids were doing. I felt that weight before I even knew what weight was. When I was young, maybe 8 or 9, I brought home a test I'd done well on, 92 out of 100. I was so proud. I ran into the kitchen and showed it to him while he was reading the paper. He looked at it for maybe 3 seconds, then asked me where the other 8 points went. I remember my mother saying, "Oh, for God's sake, let him be happy." But my father just folded the paper and said, "He'll thank me when he's older." I kept that test in my drawer for weeks. I thought if I studied harder, if I came back with 100, everything would change. It didn't. He nodded, said it was what I should have done the first time. That became the pattern. I'd reach for something, achieve it, and by the time I got there, the bar had moved. Law school, partnership at the firm, the house in the right neighborhood. It was never quite enough. Or maybe it was, and he just didn't know how to say it. I got married when I was 29. My wife, Ellen, was kind, patient. She didn't come from money, and I think my father saw that as settling. He didn't say it outright, but he'd make little comments about her clothes, her family, the way she laughed too loud at dinners. I should have defended her more. I didn't. I told myself he'd come around, that once we had kids, once I made partner, once I proved I hadn't made a mistake, he'd soften. We had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. My father was polite to them. He'd ask about school, about sports. But he wasn't warm. He didn't get on the floor and play with them. He didn't come to their games unless I specifically asked. And even then, he'd leave early. I worked constantly, 70, 80 hours a week. I told myself it was for them, for Ellen, for the kids, but really it was still for him. I thought if I could just build something big enough, something undeniable, he'd finally look at me the way I'd spent my whole life wanting him to. Ellen started saying I was gone too much, that the kids didn't really know me. I'd get defensive. I'd say I was providing, that I was doing what a man was supposed to do. But the truth is, I was doing what I thought my father wanted me to do. I missed my daughter's 6th birthday because I was in a deposition. I missed my son's middle school graduation because of a case in another city. I told myself I'd make it up to them, that they'd understand when they were older. My father had a stroke when I was 52. He survived it, but he was different after. Slower, quieter. He moved into a facility, and I visited every Sunday. I'd sit with him for an hour, sometimes 2. We didn't talk much. He'd ask about work, and I'd tell him. He'd nod. One time, near the end, he said I'd done well for myself, that I'd built a good life. I waited for more. I wanted him to say he was proud, that I'd been a good son, but he just stared out the window, and after a while, I left. I think about the birthdays I missed, the dinners I was late to, the conversations I cut short because I was thinking about work. I think about my son asking me to throw the ball with him in the yard and me saying, maybe later. Later never came. You can't get that time back. People tell you that, and you think you understand, but you don't. Not really, not until you're old and everyone's gone and you're sitting in a house that's too big and too quiet, and you realize that all the things you thought mattered didn't matter at all. I don't have much time left. I know that, and I've accepted it. But if I could go back and tell my younger self one thing, it would be this: your father's approval isn't worth your life. The people who love you, really love you, don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be there. And if you're not careful, you'll spend so much time trying to prove yourself to someone who can't or won't see you that you'll miss everyone who already does. I can't fix what I've lost. I can't bring Ellen back. I can't redo my kids' childhoods. I can't have the kind of relationship with them now that I should have built 30 years ago. But maybe you can. If there's someone in your life you're trying to impress, someone whose approval feels like it would finally make everything okay, ask yourself what it's costing you. Ask yourself who you're ignoring while you chase it. Because one day, you'll be my age, and you'll look around. And if you're not careful, you'll realize you spent your whole life performing for an audience of one, and everyone else left the theater a long time ago. I'm 80 years old. My father's been gone for 11 years. And I'm still trying to let him go. I don't know if I ever will. He died on a Tuesday morning. I got the call at the office. I was in the middle of reviewing a contract, and I remember thinking absurdly that I should finish it before I left. As if that mattered, as if anything I was doing there mattered more than the fact that he was gone. The funeral was small. My sister spoke. I couldn't. I stood up there and nothing came out. People probably thought I was too emotional, but the truth is, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know who I was burying, the real man, or the version of him I'd invented in my head. Ellen held my hand the whole time. My kids sat next to me. They were adults by then, both in their 20s. Polite, distant. The way you are with someone you're related to but don't really know. After he died, I thought I'd feel relief, like I could finally stop performing, but I didn't. I just kept going, kept working, kept chasing something I couldn't even name anymore. Ellen got sick 4 years later. Pancreatic cancer. It was fast. 6 months from diagnosis to the end. And during that time, I finally stopped. I took leave. I sat with her. I held her hand the way she'd held mine. But by then, it was too late to give her the years I should have given her all along. She died at home. My daughter was there. My son wasn't. He was overseas, and he couldn't get back in time. I don't blame him. I taught him, without meaning to, that other things come first. After Ellen passed, the house got very quiet. I'd go days without talking to anyone. My kids would call, but the conversations were short, surface level. They had their own lives, their own families, and I realized slowly that I'd spent so much time trying to be the son my father wanted that I'd never learned how to be the father my kids needed. I'm 80 now. My son lives 3 states away. My daughter is closer, but we see each other maybe twice a year. Holidays mostly. We're cordial. We update each other on the basics, but there's no closeness, no real warmth. And I know that's my fault. I spent 50 years trying to earn something that couldn't be earned. Or maybe it didn't even exist. Maybe my father loved me the whole time and just didn't have the language for it. Or maybe he didn't. I'll never know. What I do know is that I wasted the one life I had chasing approval from someone who's been dead for over a decade. And in doing that, I lost the people who were actually here, who actually wanted me. Ellen used to say I was always somewhere else. Even when I was sitting right next to her, I was somewhere else. She was right. If this story meant something to you, I'd be grateful if you'd share it. Maybe with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe just so it doesn't disappear into the noise. And if you want to hear more stories like this, real ones, from people who've lived long enough to know what matters, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. It helps me keep doing this. Thank you for listening. Really. It means more than you know.